Hello and welcome to episode 31 of the Gangrene Against the World podcast. I'm Allan Simon. The New York Jets are 2-8. They lose on Thursday Night Football to the New England Patriots 27-14. And when dealing with a 2-8 team, most of the things that are going to be discussed are negative, and there were a lot of negatives from that game. But I do want to start with the positives for once. And there was a few takeaways from this game that I think were positive. One, this team competed. They looked like a more traditional bad team, not a dumpster fire. This wasn't a no-show. And really, it's been a bit since this team had a total no-show, and you have to credit Aaron Glenn for that. This team has gotten rid of two of their all-pro caliber players and have to go against a Patriots team that looks to be one of the emerging juggernauts in this league. And they went to the fourth quarter only down a touchdown. So they competed. You know, the receivers who they brought in Mechie and A.D. Mitchell certainly made some noise, both good and bad, but they seem to be present in the offensive game plan, which is good. And A.D. Mitchell got separation. You see why he was a tantalizing receiver for the Colts, but you also see why they traded him, because he has 3 balls hit his hands, and 2 of them were not great throws. One of them across the middle is an inexcusable drop. I've been battling people on Twitter all day and all last night over the throws that Justin Fields made and whether they're A.D. Mitchell's fault. But any receiver is going to tell you, if you get your hands on the ball, you're supposed to catch it. And he created a lot of separation against one of the great corners in the league right now, but he needs to haul those in. And that's the difference between a guy like him and a guy like Garrett Wilson, who is going to be out until at least week 15, but I would not be surprised if this is the end of Garrett Wilson in 2025. So we're going to see a lot of Mechie. We're going to see a lot of A.D. Mitchell and see what this team has. You know, no Arian Smith sighting last night. Also did not have any noise from Breece Hall in the passing game, really. So there's a shift in focus right now, for better or for worse, on these young speedsters. And I think part of this season needs to be evaluating the receivers on this team, the Arian Smiths, the Mechies, and the Mitchells, to see who's part of the future here. And everyone's playing for their jobs right now. So the team didn't quit, though. Aaron Glenn has this team fighting. This team was engaged the entire time. But unfortunately, when you have an offense like they have right now, 2 scores is insurmountable. And this is where the rest of the conversation gets real negative. Justin Fields right now is not a functioning quarterback in the NFL. He just isn't. And there's Justin Fields stands, and there's the Ohio State fans out there that can't give up on the fact that although Justin Fields has a lot of physical gifts, and he seems like a good dude, and he certainly fought last night. It wasn't an effort issue for Justin Fields. He is unable to drop back, read a defense, and deliver a ball on time. He just can't do it. You know, his touchdown for 22 yards came on a broken play when a corner, falls down, literally trips over himself, leading to an open receiver and a touchdown. The offensive line has played really well, and they gave him plenty of time on that touchdown. They pick up a blitz package and let Fields run around a little bit to deliver a touchdown pass. The issue is that Justin Fields can't stand in the pocket and deliver a pass. And it doesn't help that the receiving core is thin. And it doesn't help that when a team decides, hey, we're going to make you beat us through the air, that they become a really stagnant running offense. Although early on, the running game looked really good, and they're doing the military academy offense. They're running the option on 3rd and 6, and they're doing whatever they can to move the ball. And you have to give them credit for that. And Justin Fields was a very effective runner. But if you're going to evaluate these receivers, and if you're going to give this team the best chance to win for the rest of the guys on that roster, Aaron Glenn needs to play Tyrod Taylor. Now, he certainly sounded different in his press conference today about the quarterback position. One, he actually spoke about it. And I think maybe someone got into his ear and said, hey, how you've been acting towards the media, it really just hurts you in the long run more than anything else. But Tyrod Taylor is a competent backup quarterback, and he can throw the ball a little bit and he get the ball downfield, and he will give you the best assessment of these receivers and also will give them the best chance to win. Now, if your goal is to lose games and you want to do it under the facade of, hey, we're trying to see if there's anything with Justin Fields, then you keep running him out there. This team is most likely not going to have a top 3 pick. This team isn't going to have their first choice of quarterback unless things go really, really wrong the rest of the way. So what you need to do is evaluate the receivers and offense the best you can, and that's by having a quarterback who can throw the ball. And if you look at this Jets offense, the Jets are averaging a league low 139.9 yards passing per game. That would be the lowest in the NFL since 2022, when, you guessed it, the Chicago Bears with Justin Fields average 130.5 yards per game. This isn't new with Justin Fields. He is athletically gifted. He has a big arm, but when he's playing the highest competition, there's a reason why he's lost jobs in 2 different places, and there's a reason why he was available for the taking for the Jets. I still think it was worth it. It was worth giving him a shot considering where they were, but it's been an epic failure, and he has been an epic failure, and there's really nothing left to see with Justin Fields. And anyone who's saying, hey, his numbers aren't that bad, the offense is really bad, it's the play calling, you're not watching the games, or you're being a contrarian. Your eyes tell you everything about Justin Fields. Even with a guy wide open on the touchdown pass, he double clutches because he has no confidence in what he's doing. He has no confidence in seeing a guy before he is open and throwing it into that spot. He needs to see a player already open in order to throw the ball. And you can do that in college. You can do that at Ohio State when you have the best receivers in the country. You can't do that in the NFL. So Justin Fields' performance was, again, really, really terrible last night passing. And he did get over 100 yards, and that's a very low bar to set. And 22 of those came with a corner who tripped over himself. But it also then takes shine away from the fact that this line is playing well. Membu had another nice night. Fashanu has been up and down, but overall has looked pretty good. Minus the one play where Tippmann is blocking a ghost and letting a guy run right by him. The interior part of the line has looked pretty decent. John Simpson's been a struggle, but I don't know if he's part of the long-term plans here anyway. But how can you fairly evaluate them? Or, hey, do we re-sign Breece Hall? Like, all these things just don't give you a fair look if you have a quarterback who can't function. And right now, he cannot function at all. So Aaron Glenn has a big decision to make. If Aaron Glenn is the guy he said he was going to be in the summer, and he's going to hold people accountable, and he's going to do what's best for this team to win and do what's best to make this a team to be proud of, then you have to make the move. And I understand, even though Fields was really bad against the Browns at MetLife, throwing for 60 whatever yards, 44 coming on one screen pass to Breece Hall, it's a short week. It is harder to install a new quarterback, but Tyrod's also no rookie. Tyrod's been in the league forever. I think you could have done it. But now that you have a week and a half ahead of you to make a move and put Tyrod in, I think you do it. And it might just be best for Justin Fields to take a beat. He is really killing his long-term future in the NFL right now. He can be a nice backup because he is athletic and he can be a threat, but he is not a starting quarterback in this league. I think that's very clear. He's been in the league now 5 years. And we think we've seen enough. And the throws he made to A.D. Mitchell, and those are what I went a little viral with, was, that throw down the sideline. Yes, it lands, in the breadbasket towards the sideline over his shoulder for A.D. Mitchell. He has his guy beat. So if that ball's in front of him, he scores. And that's the problem I have. It's not just that, hey, the ball ended up going to a place where he could make a catch, but it still wasn't the right throw. And then the other throw on the sideline, in which he had 2 hands on the ball, he's wide open. I mean, he has plenty of separation where Justin Fields does not need to throw it behind him. And he does. And does he get 2 hands on it? Yes, he got to catch it. But it hurts A.D. Mitchell when these balls are not in a place where he can catch the ball and run with it. Mechie showed that he's got a lot of speed to burn. But if you're not playing on time and in rhythm, then you can't catch the ball in stride. You can't get yacked. You can't do all the things that you need to do to be a competitive offense in the NFL. And for another week, Breece Hall is just not a factor in the passing game. Last week he had the touchdown. That was his only reception. He only has 2 targets yesterday against the Patriots. And it's because Justin Fields isn't seeing the field well at all. He can't even check the ball down effectively. There's never a check down. He's going to run for it. And he ran really well yesterday. And that first drive was, an old school thing of beauty, running the ball, running the option. It all looked really good. but you can't do that for a full game. And when your defense isn't very good, you can't play from behind that way. So that's the Justin Fields of it all. And I expect, or at least hope, that Tyrod Taylor plays next week. But the other change that needs to happen this offseason, one of them being Justin Fields being gone. Two is Steve Wilks has to go. And Steve Wilks has been one and done in multiple places. You know, he's been a head coach. He's been an interim head coach. He never gets another year of that. He's been fired from many a defensive coordinator or defensive position because his defense is just boring. And also his decision-making is really poor. There were multiple moments yesterday that drove me nuts with him. One is you come out of a dead ball with 12 men on the field, and he's screaming and yelling to get him off. How do you not have the right personnel out there? And how don't you notice that out of the break, the wrong people are out there? You had plenty of time to realize that. And the other is this secondary is really thin, and it was a bad day for Brownlee, and it was a really bad day for Brandon Stevens. But because there's no more Sauce Gardner, and they are your 1 and 2 corners, they're going to be exposed. And the blitzes were not reaching the quarterback. Drake May is too good already at identifying blitzes and getting the ball out of his hands that you need to give that secondary help. And instead, on 3rd and 10, when you're trying to get a stop so you can tie the game up, he's sending a blitz package, and any good quarterback on 3rd and long loves to see a blitz because that means there's plenty of room to get the ball out of your hands. You're putting the secondary that has struggled on an island, and they convert a long 3rd down because of it. And that's just really bad coaching. That is really poor decision-making. And if I'm Aaron Glenn, you made your bones in this league on defense, you got to be in Wilks' ear. And maybe it's because Wilks is a little bit more veteran than Glenn is. Maybe he doesn't feel comfortable telling Wilks what to do or what adjustments to make. But we are deep into the season now. They have played 10 games, and this defense is really, really unprepared to play. And Michael Clemens has another terrible, terrible game, and he now has what might be his worst film session he's had all year, where he's getting pancaked like crazy and is really non-competitive. McDonald couldn't create a lot of pressure, and that young offensive line for the Patriots, they fixed that line quickly with a lot of draft picks, and they kept McDonald at bay. I thought Jermaine Johnson played well. I thought Quincy Williams played really well. And those are your best players on this defense. Sherwood gets beat for a touchdown again last night. He looks lost in pass coverage always. I know he's tops in the league in tackling, but a decision has to be made about Sherwood. I don't think Quincy wants to come back, even if you wanted to sign him. I don't think he comes back. But this team is due for a real leader at middle linebacker. And I think that's what they have to try to find, this offseason, because Sherwood he's just a disaster against the pass. So the defense has been really poor, and you knew they weren't going to make enough stops. They made some stops. Again, they didn't get blown out last night. That was a competitive game, but in the moments when they really need it, they're going to give up the long 3rd downs. They give up a 4th down conversion. It is just a struggle out there for that Jets defense. You look at some of the other stats, Breece Hall still averaged over 4 yards a carry, but they're running the option towards the end of that game. He had a hard time getting any separation. And I think the offensive play calling has been pretty good, but to not give him screen passes or something to get him the ball in his hands in space is just a mistake. And I think they need to make more of an effort for it. Jason Taylor had a pretty decent day. John Mechie, 3 for 45 and a touchdown. The touchdown again was a little bit of a gift. And Isaiah Williams was used in the game a lot. The one thing that's not a good sign, though, is in a team that has very little talent on offense, Arian Smith only had 9 snaps. And that tells you pretty much everything you need to know, that when Isaiah Williams is playing 74% of the snaps and you're only playing 16%, I think Arian Smith is going to go down as another middle round receiver draft pick that is a total dud for the Jets. So he has a bad day, but overall, this type of loss is a lot easier to swallow. Think of the terrible primetime games we've seen with this Jets team, how many times they've been blown out. So although they're 2-8 and have a quarterback who can't play the position, I still felt some sense of pride watching that team. That team, they had a chance last night. I think if Tyrod Taylor's in there, they maybe win that game or at least make it closer. That should not have been a 2-score game. And things don't get easier. They have a long week and a half break, and then they have to go to Baltimore. and then they're home against Atlanta, home against Miami. I think this team ends up finishing with 4 or 5 wins. And I think when it's all said and done, this will be about where a lot of folks thought they would end. Now, no one thought, or at least a few people thought, they'd start 0-7. But they lose to New England. And for New England, man, Drake May is good. And I can't believe New England is already this good so quickly. And Vrabel, the Tennessee Titans are such a disaster. They let Vrabel leave, and he leaves on poor terms. The owner won't make trades to the Patriots, which is so petty. Vrabel did nothing but make that team relevant, with some terrible quarterback play and Ryan Tannehill, and turns them into something. And the Patriots get a gift that they have a really great head coach. And Drake May looks like a really good quarterback, and he's going to be in the MVP discussion. And especially when, all you do is win 8 straight games like they have. And the Patriots schedule at Bengals, then the Giants, the Bills, Ravens, and then Jets and Dolphins. There's a lot of wins on the table. The Patriots could easily be the 1 seed in the AFC. And yet, this is a more likable version of the Patriots. Vrabel is a likable head coach. Drake May seems like a likable guy, but that'll turn sour real quick when we have to see them play deep into January again, when we thought it was done. It only took 5 years for them to turn it around. Meanwhile, the Jets, of course, 15 years deep into a playoff drought. So a long break between now and the Jets' next game. But overall, in terms of a loss, we've seen worse losses by the Jets. They were competitive, but just didn't have enough offensive firepower. My guess is we see Tyrod next week and see what this team has at receiver, and see what this team has in different positions that will go towards next year. And I will say it seems like Aaron Glenn has at least calmed the building down a little bit. Even in a loss, this team does feel different than it did when they were 0-7 for sure. So this has been episode 31 of the Gangrene Against the World podcast. I'm Allan Simon. Thank you for listening.